Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to do a quick pantry tour, thinking through how our menus might change and the things that we're storing intentionally in the winter, but particularly right now with the times that we're facing, supply issues, food shortages in certain areas of the grocery store and in different areas of the country. I really want to think through what we have right now and how that might change how I'm feeding my family and what I'm stocking up on in the grocery store. I'm going to link lots of recipes in the description below, and I would love your input if you have other simple meals, particularly meals that don't require a lot of ingredients. Please let us know in the comments below. Sometimes the comment section is just as rich as a video itself. Let's head into the pantry. Oats are healthy and economical, and we store a lot of them in our short-term and long-term storage. I no longer purchase these smaller containers from Walmart and Aldi because their organic oats from Azure Standard is the same price per pound as the conventional oats from our local grocery stores. Now, oats don't have to be used just for making oatmeal or baked oatmeal. I have recipes for leftover oatmeal muffins, which is fantastic when you've made a big pot of oatmeal and it doesn't all get eaten. All you need is 2 cups of leftover oatmeal to make some really delicious hearty muffins. I also use oats to grind up and make flour for pancakes, waffles, or muffins, as well as using a topping for fruit crisps throughout the winter, which is delicious. We try to store a lot of seasonal fresh fruit in the freezer in the summer so that we can enjoy it during the winter. Next up, we have what I lovingly refer to as our emergency corn. There was a time in 2020 and the beginning of 2021 when I was having a hard time finding any corn in the grocery store, and we have yet to successfully grow corn on our homestead. So I've got these larger cans up top and I have smaller cans down below, but some of the things that I plan to use this for throughout the winter are corn fritters. Corn casserole is delicious. Adding it to things like salsa chicken to bulk it up a little, and also corn chowder is delicious throughout the winter, and we'll be able to use our home canned potatoes in that as well. My kids know that I will only purchase hot chocolate when it is in these large containers at Sam's during the winter. It just showed up on the shelves at Sam's last week, so we purchased 2 and will likely purchase 2 more. Over here on the left, we have graham crackers from Aldi. My little kids like to take those with peanut butter for a snack at school. And then we have our stock of pasta. We have all different pastas: angel hair, spaghetti, penny pasta, elbow macaroni. Those are the main ones. And then for our homemade pasta, I can make lasagna noodles and fettuccine noodles really easily. If you don't have any issues with gluten, pasta is fantastic to store in your pantry. It's shelf stable for a long time without needing any special storage instructions, and you can pair it with so many different things. One of our favorites is just butter and salt and maybe a little Parmesan cheese. You can serve it with or without meat, with any variety of vegetables. Marinara sauce, Alfredo sauce, pesto is delicious with pasta. It is a really ideal, versatile staple for your pantry. If you've been around here for any amount of time, you know that I really like this Jiffy corn muffin mix. It's still right around $1 for 2 boxes, and that is how many I need when I make it for my family. Corn muffin mix or cornbread is perfect for serving with rice and beans, whether it is black bean soup, red beans and rice, pinto beans with Spanish rice, or even a meatless chili. Condiments are so important when talking about simple pantry meals. These Asian sauces you see here on the left, we usually store sweet and sour, teriyaki, and General Tso's. They're about $2 at Aldi, and we love them on hibachi night, and also when I make vegetable fried rice, which is a super cheap meal that we make from our pantry and freezer. One of our favorite ways to use this barbecue sauce is just putting chicken in the Instant Pot, shredding it up, adding a bottle of barbecue sauce, and having barbecue chicken sandwiches. Of course, storing peanut butter is always useful. I actually sent my son down to Florida to help with hurricane relief with nothing but a jar of peanut butter and a container of honey. He purchased 2 loaves of bread and lived off of that for the better part of a week. We use it for sandwiches, we put it on crackers, and we also use it to make things like homemade granola bars. We store lots of mayonnaise as well to make homemade sauces and salad dressings. Continuing on with our condiments, we have multiple types of mustard, ketchup, Worcestershire sauce, which we use in meatballs, burgers, and meatloaf. And we also store buffalo sauce because we really like buffalo chicken pizza, which is an easy thing to make with pantry staples, especially when you have canned chicken. And we also like buffalo chicken dip. Behind this chow chow, we have pimentos because we like to make pimento cheese. We store quite a bit of cheddar in our freezer, and it shreds up nicely for pimento cheese. We have 1 jar of store-bought salsa left because we canned a lot of homemade salsa from our garden this year. We keep a lot of soy sauce for the different fried rices that we make, as well as hibachi night. Back here in this corner, we have our smaller cans of corn, which we rotate through on a regular basis. We have quite a bit of canned butter, and we also have our minestrone soup in a jar. I will link the video explaining how to make that in the description below. Moving on to salad dressings, I like to store a variety of salad dressings in addition to the ones that we make from scratch because I can grow kale, spinach, and lettuce in my greenhouse and in urns on our front porch throughout the winter. Variety is important, so I also store different types of grains. We've got quinoa here in the back, which I need to look up more recipes for using this on a regular basis. I store all different varieties of rice. We've got some brown basmati and some wild rice here, as well as this yellow rice blend from Sam's Club. This is under $7 for this big container, and it has dehydrated peppers and tomatoes in it. It's really great paired with some smoked sausage or kielbasa for a very simple meal. I do store lentils and rice in bulk for long-term storage, but these are the containers I use for easy access on a regular basis. I will link some of our favorite lentil recipes below. Of course, rice is good with so many things, and we keep some open pasta containers in this taller one on the left. There are some onions we purchased from the store. We did not have a great bulb onion year in the garden, unfortunately, and I always store a lot of home canned chicken broth. Making your own pancake mix is super simple, but buying it like this 10-pound bags for less than $7 at Sam's is so much worth my time and money. We fill this bucket down here, it's a 5-gallon bucket, with about 6 months worth, and then I usually have a few bags waiting in the wings. These bags are good for about 18 months, so we've never let one go bad. Here are some random ingredients like oolong tea, French fried onions, Parmesan cheese. Here are a few of our side little onions from which I add to my all-purpose flour to make bread flour. We also have anywhere from 50 to 100 pounds of Redmond's real salt in the pantry at all times. I try to keep close to 100 pounds of our favorite basmati rice. And in these 2-gallon buckets, we store lots of sugar. I believe each one holds anywhere from 20 to 25 pounds of sugar, and we don't touch the sugar in these buckets. These are really more for backup or long-term storage. Most of the sugar that we store are in grocery bags, still in the original packaging. This is my basket of sweet potatoes from the garden, or what's left anyways. And then over here we have our sad little harvest. These were just kind of the ones attached to the bigger ones when we harvested the sweet potatoes from the garden. Here we have our beautiful little basket of winter squash that we were able to harvest before the squash bugs took over in the garden. We will use this butternut squash for soups. The spaghetti squash has lots of different uses, and we have 2 sugar pie pumpkins that we can use to make pumpkin puree. Up top, we have our oil lamps, extra oil for those lamps, as well as some extra jars for storing our water glassed eggs. We also have 3 cases of tomato paste, which is so handy. You can use it to make marinara sauce, ketchup, barbecue sauce, adding to chili. I would highly suggest you purchase quite a bit of that because it's very inexpensive and has many uses. Over here in the corner, we have lots of chicken and beef bouillon. This is handy for flavoring rice, beans, different soups. We also store quite a bit of unsweetened store-bought applesauce. This allows me to use the apples that we purchase at the orchard next weekend for all sorts of other purposes besides just applesauce. I like to keep cream of mushroom soup, cream of chicken, and cream of celery for different casseroles and soups that we make throughout the winter. I will also link our very favorite potato soup recipe below, and that calls for cream of celery. This is the last of our store-bought red enchilada sauce. I now make our red and green enchilada sauce from scratch. It's cheaper and makes it more convenient not to have to store these things. One of our favorite ways to use red enchilada sauce is to make beef and bean enchiladas. We use 1 pound of ground beef or venison, about half a can of this enchilada sauce. We mix in a large can of refried beans, and we add cheese and roll it up and then top with more sauce and cheese, and it's delicious. No pantry is truly complete without a few cases of ramen noodles. One of our favorite uses for ramen noodles is ramen carbonara, as well as curry chicken noodle soup, which calls for a few packages of ramen. I will link those below. We no longer purchase these refried beans because it's so easy to make them from our dried pinto beans. We will always store lots of black olives because we love them. I don't grow nearly enough crushed tomatoes to replace the ones that we use. We also love store brand Rotel. We store some collard greens for West African peanut soup. I store lots of canned pumpkin for this time of year. Pumpkin muffins and pumpkin sweetbread is just the best. I recently purchased more marinara sauce from Aldi. Moving on to our home canned goods, we canned lots of roasted tomato sauce this year, homemade salsa, peach butter, peach preserves. We still have canned cowboy candy from last year's garden. That is amazing, and I didn't grow any jalapenos this year. I cannot overemphasize enough how convenient it is to have canned meat in your pantry. This is just raw packed chicken, as well as some ground venison that I can in beef broth. We've got pickled banana peppers from our 2021 garden, as well as some canned carrots. We grew over 200 pounds of red and white potatoes this year, and I preserved a lot of those by canning them. The varieties that I grew don't tend to be quite as starchy, so they don't look quite as ugly in the can. We have more carrots and some beautiful bright green beans. More canned meat. These are quart jars of canned chicken. These can be used for chicken soup, chicken and dumplings, chicken spaghetti, all sorts of things throughout the winter. It's so convenient to have them on the shelf. These jars contain our favorite red beans and rice, minus the rice. They are ready to serve over freshly made rice. Back here, we've got lots of different home canned beans, white beans, black beans, pinto beans, and I need to work on canning up some more of those in the coming weeks. Back here behind our sweet potato basket, we've got all different kinds of chips. We do like to keep some convenient snacks around. We've got another 25-pound bag of regular white rice back there. More dried pinto beans ready to be canned, as well as some Aldi brand rice Chex that we use to make homemade Chex Mix. Back here in this corner, we store lots of different oils, as well as some of our jars of water-glassed eggs. If you're unfamiliar with water-glassed eggs or want to know how to do it, I will link that video below as well. This time of year, when there's a whole lot less work to do outside on the homestead with regards to gardening, I start to really purge and reorganize different areas of my house, and this shelf is definitely one of them. Most of these items can be cleared off, and we can have a whole new shelf to store food. All of these grocery bags contain 10-pound bags of flour. I store them in the grocery bags to keep them from leaking, and we've never had any problem with ants or other bugs getting into them. We go through about 10 pounds every month and a half or two. Although Redmond's real salt is our favorite and our preferred salt, we do keep some super cheap Morton's iodized salt in the pantry as well. Down here we have our favorite Alfredo sauce that come in 3 packs at Sam's Club for about $6, as well as some canned pulled pork from Costco. I've stopped purchasing pancake syrup. We never purchase real maple syrup. We're such a large family and maple syrup is so expensive. I would rather put that money into honey, which we would use for more things. But I do buy molasses, which we use to make our own brown sugar. We store regular popping corn that we use in the air popper, as well as our favorite microwave popcorn. We are a true Southern family, and we like to keep a lot of grits in our pantry. One of our favorite ways to make grits is cheese grits, and you cook them using chicken broth and milk or cream, and then you add sharp cheddar cheese, maybe serve with a little bit of bacon or sausage. This onion soup mix goes in our favorite meatloaf recipe, and this little wooden crate contains our favorite red seasoning to make Spanish rice. One of my very favorite things that we canned this year was peach salsa that you can see right there in the back. It is delicious, and I can't wait to make more next year. Breadcrumbs from the store are so inexpensive, and Italian breadcrumbs add a lot of flavor to certain recipes like meatloaf. So I do keep several cans of that. They're only just over $1 at Walmart still. Cholula is one of our favorite hot sauces. We always keep a few extra bottles of that. Back there in the back, you see our hand crank grain mill. I can't really give you a review on that because I've never used it, but it was under $100 and pretty important to me to have in case that I couldn't plug in my Mill to grind our wheat. This little box over here on the end of the shelf drives me nuts. These are just extra random ingredients from previous purchases. There's some sweetened condensed milk and some chow mein noodles that we'll use to make treats through Christmas break. There's some barley left over for making the minestrone soup. There's some orzo pasta as well as some Israeli couscous. Just things that I need to use up intentionally. Down here you get a little better glimpse of the different oils we keep. We've got lots of olive oil, a few jugs of cheap vegetable oil, as well as coconut oil. I always keep apple cider vinegar and several gallons of regular white vinegar. Occasionally, Augustin Farms, who has dehydrated and freeze-dried foods, has great sales on Amazon. So not too long ago, I purchased some powdered butter as well as some dehydrated onions. Now I'm really keeping it real. The floor of the pantry is in desperate need of organization right now. These buckets contain whole wheat. We've got a few extra cases of ramen noodles. There's more bags of whole wheat underneath our French fry press. There's our basket of winter squash. I've got a few new bags of all-purpose flour that need to run their course through the freezer before we store them long term. If you're new here, I can tell you that all of these hard plastic containers that line the perimeter of our pantry floor contain flour, rice, and dried beans. I try to keep a good stock inventory so that I know how much we have of each item at all times. I am a huge proponent of having traditional skills in your toolbox and keeping the main ingredients that you need to make simple things like homemade bread, pasta, biscuits, and tortillas. I've got videos for many of those things that I will link down below. I hope this video was helpful. Please do include your suggestions in the comments below. I love hearing from you and getting ideas from others. As always, I encourage you to be prepared for your family and keep it simple. Thanks for watching.